and welcome everyone to this week's Star Trek Sunday. I'm your solo host this week, Stu. Unfortunately, Keira is not feeling particularly well today, so we wish her a speedy recovery. And hopefully she'll be back next week as normal. Now, partly because of that reason, and partly because a lot of our theme was based around Voyager, which is kind of Kira's thing, we're going to be doing something rather different this week. So, hello to everybody watching. Hello, in particular, Chris, Ed, hello, and Peter. Now I know your first name. I can call you by it. So, hello, Peter. I did have a shave. I had a shave. Right at the beginning of the week for a particular audition I had to do. So yeah, I did have a shave. I'm growing it back as quickly as possible. I've since been booked on a different job where I went in for a fitting on Wednesday, I'm pretty sure it was, and the first thing they said to me was, "Oh, can you grow your facial hair out for us?" Yeah, I can try. So I'm filming that on Thursday, so they want me to grow sideburns. But, you know, it's always the way. As soon as you take it off, people are saying, "Oh, I hope you've still got your beard." Hey-ho. Such is the life of an actor. And, yeah, so, yeah, I'm glad you're in agreement. Can't do Voyager stuff without Keira. And quite right, too, because the episode, and that all planned for next week now, of course, we will be reviewing the episode Sunkatsi. And we're going to be talking about recurring actors. Now, this is the other reason why we've sort of changed the format up a little bit. There's actually a lot of behind-the-scenes work that I need to do for that. And quite frankly, if I'm really honest, it's been a hectic week, and I really just haven't had the chance to do it, I'm afraid. Yesterday... So happy Father's Day, of course, to all the fathers out there. Hope you're having a fantastic day. My father is up in Yorkshire, so yesterday I set off early in the morning and met my sister there. He's had both his injections. My she's had both her injections. I've had one, but I have been isolating, so we've been particularly careful about it. Because he's in his 80s now, my old man. So yeah, so we went up to see him, and we had a lovely day. Nice meal with him. We got one of these Marks and Spencer's hampers delivered, so nobody had to cook. Basically, we could all relax. But driving all the way up there, which is a 4-hour journey, and again back. A 4-hour journey back, just, I must admit, it wiped me out of it. So, yeah. So that's why I wasn't able to do the preparation for today's episode. It does mean, of course, that there won't be any of our normal sections. I've got something in particular planned for the Divine Treasury in relation to the episode with Sunkatsi. So yeah, so I just figured it'd be easy to postpone the whole lot. So I'm very sorry to hear that, Peter. But yes, you have your granddad. Yeah, and he's a grandfather. So yes, absolutely, and of course you are the father to pets as well. Fantastic. You shave your cheeks, so you go all Mirror Universe, do you, with your facial hair? Fantastic. So now I also, just to pre-warn you all, I won't be doing Trek news this week either. And again, this is I'm going to blame Kit. Well, I'm not blaming Keira. She can't help it, But yes, But I'm sure, now Peter, I'm sure, as well as being a great grandfather, he is also a great grandfather. I'm sure you know what I mean by that. So yeah, but yeah. So the reason I'm not doing Trek news, we'll do double news next week, so you will still get all this. But there was a bit of information dropped regarding, well, a major piece of information dropped regarding Prodigy, which of course is again Keira's kind of with the Voyager connection. So yeah. There's lots of cats in your family then, Peter. Fantastic. I used to have cats. At one point I had 8 cats, 2 dogs, 2 chinchillas, a python, and a whole load of rats because I bred them. That was at one point I had them simultaneously. I had a pet cat company as well. So I'm very, very big on pets. And now I have no pets, which makes me quite sad. A bit of a sad panda, but it's the circumstances I'm in. Part of it is the life I lead, you know, as an actor. I can be away for extended periods of time, but and the other part, of course, because I live in rented accommodation now, which kind of scuppers the ability for pets for most people. Yes. Oh, yeah. Cats can be funny like that. So some like their own space. Some like to be a part of a clouder, which is a collective. That's the collective term for catchers. Yeah, I know my staff. So one bit of news coming back onto the show is one thing. Of course, Wednesday. Wednesday was a very, very auspicious day for Star Trek, mainly because we did our Star Trek Adventures stream on Wednesday evening, but on to a lesser degree as well, because Wednesday was in fact Captain Picard Day. Absolutely, Ed, straight in there. So now, because it was Captain Picard Day, the lovely, lovely folks at StarTrek.com decided to give us a bit of a treat. They dropped the new trailer for Star Trek Picard. Very, very, very exciting. So I thought, what better way, you know, in the absence of Keira, who is obviously very sadly missed, and we were going to do this anyway, but I thought let's spend a bit more time. So it would be probably a shorter show today, but we can spend more time going over this trailer and going into it in detail. So yes, you're absolutely right, Peter. There is a poster as well where you can see it sort of behind me. That's my backdrop today. Let's have a look at it properly though. And there it is in its full glory. It is Los Angeles from 2021 with some of its famous highways sort of twisted and maneuvered into the famous Starfleet Delta. So there we go. So I think it's a good indication, which is so it's not going to be a surprise to any regular watchers of the show that season 2 of Picard is going to be all about time travel. We've had so many. I'm not even going to call them hints. They're pretty blatant. In the teaser trailer, you know, time was talked about. There was heavy focus on the Stargazer prop, if you remember in the teaser trailer, and yeah, sort of different things from Picard's history, from his background. So yeah, we knew instantly from that it was going to be about time travel. There was then, of course, the leaked photo of Raffi in 7 of 9 sat on a bus. Now this is a bus slightly into the future because there's an advert on the side of the bus talking about, you know, people going and living on a space station or something like that. Yes, do we have the time to talk about time? It isn't the time. Yes, good old drunk Deanna. Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we love the temporal investigations. So it seems, kind of putting two and two together, that yes, it's going to involve time travel. It's going to involve time travel perhaps to a 21st century Los Angeles, maybe not in the too distant future from where we are today, maybe 100 years ahead or 50 years ahead or something like that. Yeah, which makes it quite interesting. You've obviously got ground-based vehicles. I've looked at this poster really, really closely and carefully, and the resolution just simply isn't high enough for me to see if those are current day cars or if they are futuristic style cars and vehicles. And it just really is impossible for me to tell. So if anyone has any really very, very high resolution copies of it that you can share, please do jump into the Discord. And I believe Peter already shared the poster in the Discord. But yeah, that's again that's the low resolution one. That's the only one I've seen out there. I'm not saying Peter's posted the low resolution one. It's the only version that I've been able to get hold of. So if anyone does have for some reason a high resolution, then please do get in the Discord. The links are below, and share it with us. Yeah, and I too, Peter. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe 50 years from now. Either at very least 2150s onwards. Now. This links in, therefore, to the trailer itself. That, rather than talking about it, why don't we watch it all together now and then talk about it? What do you think? So I'm going to shut up in just a moment, because here is the trailer. And there we have it, new season coming in 2022. Well spotted, Ed. We will come on to that, because what I would like us to do is go through this kind of one scene at a time and look and discuss. So we'll definitely get on to that new Starfleet Delta. But overall, before we get into that, I just want to say, I mean, chills, absolute chills. Even though I knew that Q was going to be in it, the moment you hear his voice, just absolute chill. And I still get it. I mean, I must have watched this certainly a few dozen times now. I've watched it a lot. So. Yeah, still gives me chills. 1 minute 10 seconds it runs for. So let's have a look at it shot by shot, shall we? So opens up. There we go. I'll pause it. It opens up. Obviously, that is Picard calling for Laris. This, I think, it's very obviously it is the vineyard in Labar. Yeah, I think so, Ed. It's certainly... I can't imagine it being anywhere else. But let's analyse the colour grading for a moment. Now I'm going to get all technical and filmmakery here. When you shoot a film, you shoot it as well lit as possible, and even if it's meant to be a night shot, you'll usually shoot it kind of really well lit, because it's easier to change it afterwards if the camera has picked up all the detail. So what they've done here, it won't have been how it was shot. It will have probably been a nice, clear, beautiful day. They have made this in post. They've put like a real sepia tone onto the actual shot itself. Now, usually that implies something oppressive, abandoned, old. There is one called Picard, is there? Fantastic. Yeah, not just. Yeah, I mean, you're right. End of summer, end of the day, but more than that, more kind of abandoned feeling, because dusk can still have quite a vibrant colour to it, depending on the mood you're going for, because it is more about mood than time of day. But yeah, so this is, and the fact he's calling out for Laris and obviously getting no response. I think what we're seeing here is an abandoned vineyard, and looking at the vines themselves. Oh yes, please do. That'd be fantastic. But yeah, looking at the vines themselves, they look quite sickly, neglected. The grass itself is quite long. Yeah, this is somewhere that's not been cared for some time. So makes you wonder where Laris is. Now that leads me on. I'm going to come up with a possible thought about the production. It leads me to believe that maybe one of the fundamental changes in the timeline, because that's what we're saying here, is there has been a change to the timeline, and we see the effects of some of those changes, is maybe the program of relocation for the Romulans did not happen after all. That's my theory. Which, if he hasn't got his Romulan housekeepers and people looking after the vineyard, that's the first scene anyway. That's how in-depth we're going on this, just to prepare you for the rest of it. That is literally in the first few seconds. Now, we then lead into the farmhouse itself. Now, this is definitely the Picard farmhouse. Don't know why that's gone a little bit darker. Bear with me. There we go. There we are. It was just early on. It was fading in, and I paused it a little bit early. That is absolutely, definitely the Picard farmhouse, because if you look just out to the courtyard beyond the door where Picard is walking in, you can see the seats. That's where he had the conversation with the Doctor from the Stargazer in the first series. So this is absolutely, definitely. I don't know if we saw this room even in the first series, but definitely we can identify it as being that building. Now this looks less neglected. You notice this has got a brighter air to it. The lighting is lifted compared to the previous scene. So I don't know if it's the dining. It could well be a dining room. It looks like a dining room, certainly. But I'm trying to think when we saw it. And sure, I never really analysed the first season from that perspective of where they were in the building at any time. Quite possibly we have. I can easily believe that, but definitely I recognise the courtyard area just outside. But yeah, so the lighting is very different to the scene that we see before. It's much brighter. There's you can see from the angle of shadows the sun's much higher in the sky. It's quite possible, of course, that they just made a continuity error in terms of lighting or the time of day that it was shot. But let's look at the fact that the lights are on in the building. So this is not an abandoned building. This is not an unoccupied building. Somebody is here. Somebody is around. Otherwise, we'd see dust all over the table and things like that. But you know, there's a coffee set out there, all looking shiny, all looking nice. So somebody's definitely living here, and it's incongruous with the vineyard that we saw outside. So I'm wondering if, again, you know, a different change that, you know, in addition to it, you know, the Romulan thing, I'm wondering if actually somebody else is living here. This is somebody else's home that he just happens to be walking into. That would not surprise me at all. So yeah, that'll be quite interesting. Perhaps Q did clean up. You never know. It's not really his thing, though, is it? But you know, I mean, Q's a father now, so who knows how that's changed him.
What the hell is happening here?
Now, we can't quite see. Let me just back it. There we are. If you look, Picard is wearing the Starfleet Delta. They've never been explicit about this, Ed, but yes, that's always been the assumption that it is the same vineyard. Yes. But yeah, that is a definite. I mean, certainly it's a different building because we saw the building in the episode Brothers, and it looks very, very different. Well, that's one theory that's going about, Peter. That yeah, Q is responding rather than instigating. But yeah, but just look, see, Picard's wearing a Starfleet Delta on his chest there. So that is quite a telling part of it. And he also looks very exasperated in this scene as well. They've snuck back in a little bit, they've leaned in a bit with this sepia tone again. And this seems to be a different room because this one has curtains and net curtains. So you see there, no curtains. You move forward. It's obviously a different room, this one. So yeah, that's and he is absolutely exasperated. And then you hear Q's voice. No, I think it's the one that matches what Rios is wearing later. You'll see there's definitely, it looks like it's got the sunken bits on the top and certainly the cross at the bottom, or you know, people have said about a sword or a blade at the bottom. Yeah. No, I definitely think it looks like Rios's. Definitely looks like Rios's, that one. I think it's the same type. We get to see it a little bit better in just a moment, though. So let's come back to that one. But you get to hear Q's voice now. Listen carefully to how you hear Q first of all, not just what he says, but how he sounds.
Excellent question, Jean-Luc.
So, it's like it's coming from elsewhere, like it's coming almost across time. That sort of, I don't even know the name for that particular sound effect. But it's a sound effect that you hear quite a little bit like his voice in Tapestry, but certainly heavier and more. There's a heavier tone to it, but it's coming in like yeah, it's definitely interesting. In fact, I mean, you mentioned Tapestry. I've heard it proposed that actually the way it's looking from this trailer is that the entire season 2 of Picard might almost be a cross between Tapestry and All Good Things, which, yeah. Yes, exactly that. Well, yes, so it's felt rather than heard. It's certainly very emotively spoken. And Picard has asked the question, what the hell is going on? And Q says, excellent question. Now, if Q was behind this, then he wouldn't respond like that. I don't think that'd be his go-to answer. But I think also, as a massive change here, excellent question. One of the things that you see consistently throughout the Next Generation with Q is Q basically taking the piss out of Picard for asking the wrong questions. That is a very consistent thing. So the fact that the first thing he says to him, or certainly on the trailer, the first thing he says is excellent question, implies that these two are going to work together side by side rather than against each other. So there we go. That's my own personal theory there. But yeah.
Oh dear, you're a bit older than I imagined.
Now, that is quite interesting. So he says, oh dear, you're a bit older than I imagined. Now, this is Q, who's supposed to be omnipotent. So why wouldn't he know that Picard is older? Unless he's referring to the fact that Picard is now an android. Maybe that's a reference. Or maybe it is just very simply a writer's segue into aging up Q. That would be that wouldn't be unheard of. Because let's face it, as fans, we can put far more thought into these things than the writers do sometimes. That's not an uncommon thing to happen. Q does like to help sometimes. Sort of help. He likes to... It never makes it easy, though. Like he's said in the past, everything's a test and the trial never ends. So, I don't know. I mean, in the teaser trailer, we got the phrase, the trial never ends. So, but this... I don't know, this interaction between them seems a bit more, he's coming to Picard almost for help. He's coming to Picard for help rather than the other way around. But that's my take on it. Certainly. And, of course, we get that look of instant recognition from Picard. And, yeah, surprise. He's surprised, definitely.
Mon capitaine, how I've missed you.
Now, let's look at Q, and there he is, the Silver Fox, in all his glory. He's not wearing a Starfleet uniform of any era that we're aware of. He's dressed more like more like a politician, I would have thought. Smart suit, but all in black. So maybe even dressed for a funeral, or maybe that's to emphasise against the whiteness of his beard and hair. It's hard to tell.
Q.
Didn't mean to do that. He does look like he's going to a funeral. You're not wrong. He also looks like he's just come down the stairs to me. It could be. Now that's a... maybe it's ambassadorial dress that he's wearing. I'm curious to know what the badge he's wearing on his... just under his right lapel. I mean, it's got to be significant of something. Q wouldn't wear something if it wasn't significant. And it's certainly very stylized and very interesting. But yes, ambassador. Yeah, if he's going ambassadorial. Yeah, he's always gone similar. But let's not forget when he first dressed as in Starfleet, he dressed as an admiral, and Picard obviously had a bit of a go at him for that. He says, "You're no Admiral Q," and he says, "Neither am I an Altempting Serpent, but you accepted me as such," which was quite a nice little moment. So he's actually not been afraid to outrank Picard, but I think later on they went for more. Wanted to show them an uneven footing because it's really difficult when you introduce an omnipotent being with all this power into a series, who can literally snap their fingers and do anything. It's really hard to create a story because just like he can literally do anything. So where do you go with that? So I think they wanted to sort of put the appearance, at least, of Q and Picard on even footing. But yeah, no, that's a really good call, ambassadorial ring. I like that. And I'm curious as to why they've given Q facial hair. I have seen on some channels, there's one in particular, one YouTube channel that puts out a lot of Trek content that mentioned, "Oh, right, he's got a goatee beard, so maybe it's the mirror universe." It's like, that's not... I mean, we joke, of course, about the whole goatee beard mirror universe, and yeah, I mean, I made a joke earlier about it, but absolutely not no. There's only really Spock and Sarek that have ever been seen with goatee beards from the mirror universe. It is a trope that just is not true. I'm not taking the fact he's got a goatee beard to mean he's a mirror universe Q. Also, would Q not be Q throughout all the different universes anyway? And just to kind of put this one, well, it won't be being put to bed completely because it'll raise its head again, the whole mirror universe thing, later in the trailer. But Discovery's done it, and they did it so heavily that I think if Picard was to go down the mirror universe route, that would actually piss fans off quite a bit. That's what I think, anyway. I don't think we're seeing mirror universe Q at all. Now, when he speaks here, and I will just take it back a little bit. I mean, it looks genuinely pleased to see Picard.
Mon capitaine, how I've missed you.
Q.
Now, it looks a bit more serious there. We'll come on to that. But for now, look at the joy on his face. He's absolutely pleased to see Picard. You can see that. And he says how I've missed you as well, which is a really, really nice thing to see. But, you can see the cheekiness in there. But also his voice is normal by this time. So I think now, earlier on in the Discord, Peter mentioned the idea that we'll originally see Q younger, or would have liked to have seen a younger Q who then becomes older. I think, looking at the fact that we've got this disembodied voice, and then he says, "Oh, you've got an older than I expected." I think that's exactly what we're going to see. I think we're going to see a de-aged John Delancey, which they did in series one, not with John Delancey, obviously, but they de-aged Patrick Stewart, of course, and Brent Spiner, sort of, in the first season of Picard. So I think, yes, I honestly think we are going to see a de-aged John Delancey, first of all as Q, and then he is going to age himself, for whatever to make Picard feel more comfortable and save them a lot of money in special effects. That's what I think. So I think we are definitely going to see that. I'm almost positive. What have I missed in the comments? That's an interesting question about the whole time thing. I mean, he can travel through time. That's happened. So this might even be a Q from the future who has missed Picard. He might have seen Picard yesterday, but if it's a Q from the future, who knows? There we go. The whole data de-aging thing, it didn't quite work very well, but we know they've got the technology to do it at least to some degree. I honestly think, we're going to see a de-aged Q, and then he's going to age himself. Moving on with the trailer. Now, before we get on to the next scene, so you have Q, you have Picard's reaction, shock, surprise. He's clearly not expected to see him, which is exactly what that's a perfectly normal reaction, and no surprises there at all. But look at his face as he walks towards Picard. That's a serious look. That is a very serious look. He's got a bit of a smirk going on, but not with the eyes. When you look at the eyes, and his little trick, if you want to know any subtext that an actor is trying to portray, look at their eyes. Don't look at them out. Don't look around the eyes. Look into the eyes. No, I mean, they might be smiling with their mouth, but if their eyes look angry, and he actually does look quite. There's certainly intensity there, and I've been trying to sort of gauge this particular emotion. It's mixed emotions. I think Q is genuinely pleased to see Picard. I think things are. I think things have gone badly, and they're not going well at all. It's very, very serious. I don't think he'd be seeing Picard unless it was something very, very serious. But that is such an intense look. Even though there's the bit of a trace of a playful smile on the mouth, no, the eyes say, this is serious. This is major. And it wouldn't be the first time, of course, that Q has asked humans for help. He certainly got Janeway to go into the Q continuum to help with the Civil War, of course, after trying to impregnate. That was a misstep on Voyager's part. So Q turns up and he's there for a very serious reason. And then we start to find out why he's there. Now, before we get any further, so obviously we are at Starfleet Command in this shot, because they wouldn't put that on the floor if it wasn't Starfleet Command. But interestingly, this is the first time in Picard, or outside of Discovery, that we see this bisected delta. It's only in Discovery that we've ever seen that before. Now, we do know that Discovery is set in the same universe as Picard, that it is the Prime universe, and we see the bisected delta way into the future, and of course in the time that Discovery comes from. I just thought that was an interesting nod, that we've not seen it around this time before. So whether this is a change or not, I don't know. I've heard theories that the entirety of this trailer is set in in an altered universe, in where something has changed in time. But I think where we saw a very different Delta on Picard, on Rios, and the fact that we're seeing a more normal Delta, even though it is bisected, we do know that that is accurate for the Prime universe. I think this is an unaltered. I think this is actually a memory from when he was an admiral. But we'll come on to. I'll play the whole scene and then we'll come back over it.
Come, my friend, to the very end of the road.
There we go. Right, I'll stop there. Laris does turn up, which I'm very pleased to see. So, there's the Starfleet symbol on the wall again behind Picard. We see a number of... It's hard to tell what rank they may be, but definitely they're Federation officers. But let's look at some of the flags behind them. On the far left, you have the Klingon flag. Not quite sure, is that Andorian? The second from the left. Third from the left is the Federation. Fourth from the left is Starfleet. Fifth from the left, or if you like, fourth from the right, in the triangle is actually Starfleet Academy. Then, of course, you have the Vulcan Idic, the Bajoran logo, and the Ferengi flag on the far right. Now, again, other people have suggested, maybe this is a different federation where the Ferengi and the Bajorans and, the Klingons are members. But then, if this is flags of member states of the Federation, why would you actually have the Federation flag amongst them? No, I think what we're seeing here is a conference of powers throughout the quadrant. And yeah, it's kind of like G10 Summit, I suppose, kind of thing. But the Federation is just one of the people there. Although maybe the Starfleet and Starfleet Academy is there because they're the hosts. I could see that. And yeah, what we can see there is that Picard is speaking at this event. It definitely looks like a conference. Let's move forward a little bit so we get a bit more of a better look at his uniform. It's very similar to the uniform that we saw in the first season. It's not quite the same. There are some differences to it. So it's really hard to gauge. I'm thinking ambassadorial conference. That would be my guess. Looking at the badge, you'll notice it's very similar to the badge I'm wearing here. This uniform, of course, is from Picard, but later on, this is from the 2399 era uniform. But his badge does look very, very similar to this one. So. And it's similar to the uniform he was wearing when he retired or quit, basically. But there are some differences. But that sort of striping effect is certainly in keeping with it. But I think the collar was red on that one, and it didn't have the panel coming across. So there are subtle differences, but maybe this is a dress uniform, whereas that was a day-to-day uniform. I can certainly believe that and accept that. So I think this is a memory rather than the altered timeline. Again, this is pure speculation on my part, but that's what I'm theorising. So next up.
The very end of the road.
Now, let's come back to this very, very quick bit that we see. We see Raffi running with somebody. I think it's Raffi. Is it Raffi? It looks like Raffi. Yeah, and could it be... It looks rather like the Klingon homeworld as it's depicted in Discovery, in fact. But it could also be Free World. Maybe it's Raffi's son. Or is it Eleanor? I'm struggling to make out faces on this. That'd be really interesting. No, that's male. That's a man. Surely. I think it's Eleanor. The more I look at it, obviously we've only ever seen him with his hair tied back. But if it was loose, yeah, I think that's Raffi and Eleanor. Clearly running from something. It's quite intense. But yeah. Not much you can really tell from that, except it's very neon, very steampunky, cyberpunky place that they are. The Romulan elf, yes, indeed. And then we go on, and we see going the wrong way. There we are. We see left. Now, the fact he was that we opened with him calling out for a getting no response. I think this is gonna be a flashback, a memory of his. That's my theory. I mean, do you know what? As an actor, she was very entertaining to watch, and I thought she was a great, really well written character. So I'd like to see more Laris. Definitely like to see more Laris. But well, we'll have to see. Yeah, but yeah, I wonder if this is just a memory. But let's see.
Not taken.
Yes, let's talk about the voiceover.
Welcome, my friend, to the very end of the road not taken.
Welcome, my friend, to the very end of the road not taken. Now, somebody mentioned that earlier in the chat. Where was that? That it's the last season? No, I don't think so. I mean, it might be the last season, but I don't think that would be connected, if I'm honest. I think that's yeah. I think this is talking about a decision that was made in the past that simply wasn't followed through. I think that's yeah. It's as simple as that that we're seeing. Now, I do have a theory about what the change is in the timeline, but we will, or one of the changes at least, but we'll have to wait for the end on that. So, what did we have?
Not
There's
taken.
Laris. Very briefly, we get this. That's an odd shot. You've clearly got buildings, large buildings. We did see the Vulcan flag in the conference, yes. Are you thinking with Laris? No Vulcan flag there. But no, just at the conference. None there that I can see. Yeah, at the conference then. Yeah, at the conference we did. So, this is, yeah, we only see it really briefly, and then it moves on. I'm trying to think what this could possibly signify. It wouldn't be in the trailer unless there was a reason. And what we've got then is trees, mostly dead or bare autumnal trees. and we're looking at buildings through it. So that could indicate a dead city, one where basically nature is starting to take it over again. When you think about movies like I Am Legend, you see that where vines of overgrown cars and things like that. You mentioned, yes, the Enterprise, when Archer goes to the future in Shockwave, you see that. So I'm wondering but the buildings do look quite intact. So, yeah, it's really hard to gauge what that might be. But it wouldn't be there for no reason. They put it in because it is significant. It's really hard to tell what it is. We've all got faith at that. Then we move on. We see... Well, I was going to say we see Soji, but we might be seeing Daj, of course, if this is an altered timeline. Who's to say which one of them it is?
Time.
She's wearing, rather than wearing a necklace, so this I think we are definitely seeing an altered timeline version, because rather than a necklace, she's wearing a badge with her the twin rings. She's wearing another badge as well, but it's very hard to make out what it is. It looks just to be a blue circle surrounded by silver. I believe this is an opera house in LA. She's certainly very, very well dressed, looking very, very classy there, in a way that we'd not seen in the first series. So we're looking at somebody very affluent, very well-to-do. So it'd be interesting to see. They've clearly changed her life, or these timeline changes have changed it for the better for her, it would appear. But yet she doesn't look very happy. She looks a bit pissed off there. So, yeah, again, it's impossible to gauge what her changes are from this, except for the aesthetic ones. But clearly, this is in here to show that she is going to be in the second season, which is good. I mean, she's a brilliant actor, and very, very entertaining to watch.
Time has been.
Now, we did get a sudden change of expression there. I didn't notice that previously. So, now just look on that in the last couple of frames, there's almost a smile starting to form. So I'm wondering if what we're seeing is she's been waiting for someone and then they've turned up. Do you see it? Again, look at the eyes. The eyes rather than the mouth. She sees someone, then you see that change of emotion. She's pleased to see somebody. So, yeah. So she's waiting for someone, and clearly they've turned up, and she's pleased to see them. That's what we're seeing there.
Has been broken.
Then we see, of course, Agnes Girardi. Her hair looks quite different in this, I believe. I think it was straight before. A little surprise. Possibly, yeah. I can see that. You have Agnes. Now, again, one of these YouTube channels said, "Oh, look, she's being lit by green, and that can only possibly be the Borg." That's nonsense. There are actually a number of different species that use green lighting to indicate themselves. It was Romulans, amongst others. But you are seeing a very different. But it's also used. Green lighting is also used on an emotional level. as well. It can create feelings of unreality, as can sort of camera angles, tilting camera angles. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're seeing an Agnes Jurati in prison at this point. Because let's face it, she killed Maddox. Spoiler alert for anyone who's not got there yet. Apologies, but yeah, you're going to get spoilers. Yeah, same. So the same thing there that we saw with Soji or Asha. No. It only means the Borg sometimes. It's not just the Borg. We do see examples of green lighting, and this is actually more of a bluey green anyway, which is less Borg-like. The Borg lighting tends to be a stronger green. But yeah, I mean it does, and we can't rule it out. But I just think it's a bit of a jump to go, oh, that's what it must absolutely be, which I've seen on other channels. But again, somebody's turned up that she wasn't expecting. There's definitely a bit of surprise, and she is pleased to see them. You look at the eyes, there is hope in those eyes. And yeah, again, as an actor, it's just absolutely phenomenal. So conveying that sort of emotion. Always look at the eyes. Yeah, definitely pleased to see them. And then we cut to Rios. Now, it's very clearly La Serena that he's on the bridge of. Now, this is again where I have heard this theory. This is you're certain it's the Borg, then, Peter. Okay, I mean it could be. I'm not convinced. I think I've got a feeling they're going to move further away from the Borg in this one, but that's just a feeling. Now on La Serena, of course, La Serena is not a Federation vessel. However, here is Chris Rios wearing a Starfleet Delta, and with a Starfleet Delta on the headrest of the captain's chair, which is strange. Don't know if it's Wrath of Khan style belt buckle, just yeah. Well, is it an older Delta? It's certainly hard to tell, but the fact it is a Delta is interesting. And before we come on to that badge, you'll notice he is wearing a sidearm as well on his right hand, strapped to his right hand hip and thigh, and gloves. And it appears to be some kind of Starfleet-esque uniform. So here's where I've heard some of the biggest theories about, oh, this must be the mirror universe then. He's wearing a weapon and they all wear weapons. Yeah, actually, that website you just mentioned is the one I've been referring to all the way along, who say, oh, it can only be this, because, oh, look, it's green light, it can only be the Borg. Well, they do use green lighting for Romulans as well, so, yeah. He is looking surprised. So I think what we can gauge from that is that these changes to the timeline, these are individuals who have not been affected by it. And I'll be interested to see, but we come on to that a little bit later as well. So that you can see his badge in much more detail. And yes, and it was Trek Culture who said, that's a sword on the badge. The only time we've seen swords through deltas before is the mirror universe, so it must be the mirror universe. No, I don't accept that at all. It could just as easily be a rank indication. That's been used on deltas more than once on different types of deltas. So no, I'm not just automatically jumping to the conclusion that it must be the mirror universe. Yeah, we will we will see. And if they do go mirror universe, it's like, I love the mirror universe. I absolutely adore it, and I want to see more of it. But I also think, like, Discovery did it so heavily. I don't know. Unless they're doing like one episode where they jump to it, like, or Q takes them there. We'll see. We will have to see, of course. But yes, he is absolutely surprised. I mean, the gloves are very, I don't know, they are very mirror universe. I can see how people might think it, but I'm intrigued by the symbol behind his shoulder as well. That it's not quite Starfleet Delta, actually, when I look at it. It's definitely a bit different. They have refuted it, but let's not forget they refuted the fact that Benedict Cumberbatch was playing Khan really outright. It is more like an A. The one behind him, it's sort of like an A, but the way you get a bar across for the A, that's more like an inverted sort of diamond shape. Yeah, it's something we've not seen before. I think we can definitely say that. It's definitely something we've not seen before. And it's different, but it's so close to a Starfleet Delta. Atari Shipyards. Oh, gosh, yeah, that's a real deep dive suggestion there. Wow. Yeah, I can definitely see it. We're not going to have any answers on this, but it's fun to look and see. Right, before we move ahead too much, we have some voiceover as well. So let's have another listen to that.
Road not taken.
Time has been broken.
We can save the future, and I will get us.
Right. So we have a female voice telling us that time has been broken. And she sounds very much to me like the Admiral that told Picard he had his fucking hubris, if you remember. Yeah, could be. Manufacturing. Yeah, interesting, Ed. Yeah. Let's have a listen to her voice again and picture that particular actor saying it.
Of the road not taken.
Time has been broken.
We can.
Right. Now I've done that. No, I'm going to change my mind completely. That's too young a voice for her. It could possibly be Laris, but is there a hint of an Irish accent in there? Let's try that again.
Time has been broken.
Nope, there's no Irish accent whatsoever. The only other person I can think of is maybe Commodore O, but Commodore O, as we know, is a bad person, a Romulan in disguise. Is it the hubris Amber though? Because listen really carefully. She sounds too young.
Time has been broken.
We can say.
I mean, it does sound like her, but it sounds like a younger version of her. Yeah, it is. I've been all over the place on this one. I can't decide who it is, and of course, it may be just someone we've not met yet. That's a distinct possibility as well. Then, of course, Picard speaks.
Save the future, and I will get us.
Oh, let's go back.
Has been broken.
We can save the future, and I will get us home together.
Right. We'll come on to the whole 7 thing. So, he says... Oh, let's get that back to...
together.
Ah, gone past it. Right, let's
Has
start.
been broken.
We can save the future, and I will get us home together.
Right, we can save the future, and I will get us home together. Listen very carefully. This is at least 3 separate sound recordings. Time has been broken. Sorry, what time is broken? We can save the future is one. The way he then speaks sounds like it was recorded at a different time. And there is an overlap. So the sound people did a bit of a... I mean, I don't know what they were working with, so they did an imperfect job here. I will get us home. That's 2 completely separate lines that have been put together. Listen to how he says it.
Been broken.
We can save the future, and I will get us home.
When he goes, and the will is overlapped with the I, and I will get us home. Yeah, it's not. It's 2 separate lines, and I is from one line. Will get us home is from another line.
Has been broken.
We can save the future, and I will get us home together.
There we go. So they've taken 2 lines and glued them together to give to give the impression of him saying the line. I mean, why they didn't just get him in the studio to say the line that way, I don't know. We will see. Yeah. So yeah, it does sound like he trusts Q. I mean, Q's done many things, but he's never lied to Picard. And that's worth bearing in mind. Then you get this last...
has been broken.
We can save the future, and I will get...
There we go. So, you can see Raffi there, behind him. Yeah, that's got to be Eleanor, surely. Just behind his left shoulder. That's got to be Eleanor, with his hair down. If not, then it's a new character we've not seen before. I mean, he's got the ridges of a Romulan, but it's always so out of focus. But I think it's Eleanor. There we go. He's just wearing his hair very differently. And we see Agnes, of course, off to the far right there as well. And that's just a dramatic shot. I don't think we can... The fact that we've got these 3 people in there, the fact that Rios isn't in with them could be something. They don't appear to be. That's not the La Serena that I can see. So who knows where they are. Certainly Raffi's hair is very different as well. But definitely Raffi and the guy behind his left shoulder are the 2 people we saw running earlier. And yeah, that's got to be Agnes. Just off to the right. But yeah, but ultimately this is in here because it is a nice dramatic shot. There we go. That's that one. And then we cut to 7. And as a friend said, when she first saw this trailer, she said on Twitter, she said, if you're going to show 7 covering half her face, we know what's coming. And yes, absolutely. Let's see what's coming. There we go. No implants. So let's re-go over all of that. Let's just rewind it back to the beginning of that section. There we are. Yeah, it's not a massive reveal, but it's a big thing. You know, let's not downplay it. And it is wonderfully revealed. So there's a sudden waking up from Seven or Annika, perhaps. Sudden shocked waking up, but that could be for dramatic effect, of course. And then we cut to a pan shot. That, of course, is a very large bed for one person. And this may be pertinent to something that's coming a bit later on. This is not me just being pervy. There's a reason why I'm saying this. The other side of the bed looks like it's definitely been slept in. That's pertinent. And there's something on the bed, clothing, perhaps, dressing gown. Sometimes they'll just put these things in there just to give the actors somewhere easy to grab a dressing gown from when they want them to put it on quite quickly. And when we next see again, this is just a shot where we're just seeing her face hidden. We see a very old-fashioned looking lipstick there, which is interesting. We see a badge now. I've heard a lot of people wondering what this badge is, but isn't it a Fenris Rangers badge? I can't remember what the Fenris Rangers badge looks like without looking it up. But I know that's been a source of speculation for a lot of people. Some people have even suggested, oh, it looks like something to do with the Dominion. Which, oh gosh, you know, that would be quite a deep dive. But there's definitely, it's certainly significant anyway. But I think it's Fenris Rangers. Which would be, she doesn't look surprised to see it. That's key. Again, looking at the eyes. What she is surprised to see, however, is no implants. And there we go. We get the close-up of the fact that there are no implants. And she's surprised and shocked. And clearly, as she's doing that, they've left it out of the trailer, but you hear the sound of somebody else moving. And that's what she's turning to react to. She's been there's a little bit of a curious sound that she's not heard, but of course she's wearing a wedding ring as well. Now, canonically, of course, in Voyager, she was married to Chakotay, and I'm really hoping it's not him. But there were indications that she was developing a closeness with Raffi towards the end of season 1 of Picard. So, yeah, she's wearing a ring on her wedding finger. The bed clearly looks like it's been slept in on the other side. So, yeah. Happily married. Well, could well be. Certainly that's a big apartment for one person. And yeah, that's why I was focusing on, oh, look, the bed's been slept in by somebody else, is you've then got this ring. I don't know. So Robert Beltran has some personal opinions that I find problematic, and I wouldn't like to see him getting airtime as a result of them. So I don't know. But yeah, I mean, a nod to Chakotay, and like I said, canonically she was married to Chakotay, so if that's referenced, then fair enough. That would certainly make sense, but we shall see. There we go, and that is it for the trailer. So what do you think is your favourite part of the trailer so far? What do you think it all indicates? Now, oh yes, I was going to give you my personal theory. My personal theory is that I think we're seeing a timeline where Q does not exist. Because without Q, certainly Annika would never have been assimilated. And yeah, there would be no Borg. Perhaps artificial life wouldn't have been as advanced as it was, which wouldn't have led to the attack on Mars, which possibly could have impacted differently on the whole Romulan thing. I think there's a lot. A lot that Q has affected over the years. And possibly Starfleet wouldn't be what it is. But that's my theory, is that something has happened in the timeline to erase Q from history. And that's why Q has now come to Picard for help. I get that with the green lighting, but I also think that's a misdirection on the part of the filmmakers myself. But that's my theory, and there are lots of theories. And yes, you're right, Ed. It is so unfair teasing us so far in advance. But at the same time, I'm really happy they've given us something that we can look at and focus on, because I absolutely love this trailer, and I'll be watching it lots more. You can guarantee over time. But there we are. That's our analysis of it. Do jump in the Discord and share your thoughts and your feelings about the trailer and what you think might be coming. This is something we're going to be discussing for a long time to come. But I think before we go anywhere, we should watch this trailer again. What do you think? Well, we are doing, whether you like it or not. So excited, so looking forward to it. Worth mentioning, if, of course, Annika Hansen was not assimilated by the Borg, she would be a lot younger, because she was put into a Borg maturation chamber at an early age to age her up into being a more functional drone. So if that is the route that the writers have gone down, is, oh look, it's Annika Hansen just without being assimilated, they've forgotten that very fundamental aspect of her nature. And it is, I'm going to say it is fundamental, because on Voyager, one of the reasons why Seven had so much difficulty adapting to life as a human is because she had pretty much no memory of being a child, because she was just like turned instantly from a child into a Borg and matured right up. So yeah, there we go. So hopefully it's a bit more complex than that. I'd like to see it being a bit more complex than that. But you can one thing you can absolutely guarantee is some people will like it, some people will not, and those that don't will make sure that everybody knows that they don't. That's already been happening with this trailer, but online. But there we go. I, for one, am very much looking forward to the new season of Picard, and of course, it gives me an excuse to rewatch season 1 over again. That'll be the 4th time that I've watched it. But I will be watching it, of course. Hello, Paul. You've made it just in time for us to end the stream. But of course, you can watch on video on demand and in time. kind of probably later today, I will be putting this on YouTube as well. A bit of a different episode for you there, Paul, where we've just been analysing the hell out of the new Picard trailer. And my goodness, we have been analysing it for an hour and a quarter out of a 1 minute 10 seconds trailer. We have got an hour and a quarter's worth of analysation in there. Lots and lots to talk about. But there we are. Hopefully that's been fun. Next week, of course, we plan to go back to normal. We will be talking about recurring actors who come in and play lots and lots of different roles, like our very own Jeffrey Combs, of course, who we absolutely love. And of course, we will be reviewing the episode Sunkatsi from Voyager. We'll be making a visit to the Divine Treasury. And we will, of course, be doing 2 weeks' worth of Trek news rather than the 1 week's. So all that to look forward to next week. And, of course, hopefully Keira will be back and well. So there we are. You have indeed painted yourself many, many colours. All the colours of the rainbow. You need to play a Vulcan so you can paint yourself green subtly. Let's run a yes. Yes, Jeffrey Combs plays everybody. But there we are. Fantastic. Well, this has been a lot of fun and great to see you. So you all take care. Peace and long life. Live long and prosper. And I'll see you all in the Discord. Take care for now. Bye. Bye.